Welcome to Amplifying Recruitment. In this episode, I'm joined by the founder of Chapter 2, Leo Harrison. What Leo and the team are building at Chapter 2 is completely different to what the rest of the industry is doing. Now, even if you don't have an embedded recruitment model, even if you're still sat doing traditional contingent recruitment, there's a ton of learning to be had from listening to Leo and what he's building in his business. Leo, welcome to Amplifying Recruitment.
Thanks for having me.
Fresh back from the London Marathon.
Yes. I wouldn't say fresh,
Well,
but I'm back from the London Marathon. Yeah, exactly.
How did you get on?
Do you know what? It was one of those fail to prepare to fail. I didn't train hard enough, so I found it tough. It was really hard. It's my third marathon in 2 years. I've got my fourth one coming up in September. I didn't do enough training, and I felt it about kilometre 28. I hit the wall at 28 kilometres, so the last 14 were absolutely brutal. And it was a hot day as well.
Yeah, really warm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I lost buckets of sweat. Salt tablets were a blessing.
Yeah. What was your charity?
Charity was children with tuberculosis. We raised £4,500, which is amazing. And so far in the last three, we've raised over £15,000, which
Amazing.
is awesome. So I blend my passion for giving back with definitely for supporting children and specifically children with cancer and obviously tuberculosis as well.
Amazing. So I suppose dive into what we're here to talk about. For anyone that doesn't know you, we do like a really short kind of intro about you and Chapter 2.
Yep. Leo Harrison, founder of Chapter 2. For the last 20 years, my whole career has been dedicated to building in-house teams for global businesses. Prior to Oliver and way back in 2001, I was running in-house reprographics rooms for the likes of BT and O2 and Woolworths back then. So my career started out just dedicating myself to in-house services. 4 years later, I met a chap called Simon Martin, who was setting up a business called Oliver. I was 22 and he was on his entrepreneurial journey, and he built a business with me alongside him, from 4 people to 3,000 people, 40 countries around the world. The business was purely designed to build and run in-house creative agencies. So it was to build and run and manage in-house global teams. The business is still hugely successful. It's probably one of the most disruptive agencies of our time. And we were acquired in 2019 by a company called the Brand Tech Group, which was an amazing partnership and has continued to grow the business to 5,000 people working with the most amazing brands in the world. At that point in 2019, I decided that I wanted to see if I could do something for myself. So I set about looking around at what problems I wanted to solve, because some of the best businesses are built from solving problems that you might have personally felt. And the big fat line on our P&L was recruitment and recruitment spend. So when I was at Oliver, I set about solving that problem and how we could reduce our recruitment spend. And I designed and built a model of how to do it inside the walls of Oliver. And then I turned it into a business called Chapter 2. And it's called Chapter 2 because Oliver was Chapter 1. This is Chapter 2. Not that creative. I was the suit and operations director. I wasn't the marketing guy of Oliver. But it is Chapter 2. It's my next chapter, basically. So I've dedicated my whole career to building in-house teams and growing and building teams for 20 odd years. I'm a dad, father of 2, got an amazing wife, and just try to enjoy life and give back as you're growing.
Wonderful. So I'm just going to go back a step.
Yeah.
Then. So starting Chapter 2, so you're not a recruiter. You've not really got like a network of clients that you can go, come and join me on this new step. No, like kind of black book stuff.
No.
How did you kick things off?
Well, firstly, I think we are all recruiters, to a certain extent, because we all need to bring people along a journey if we want to build teams. And I probably didn't quite anticipate the opportunity of and the ease of having your own black book and your own network when you set out into a business. I was very naive when I first set up Chapter 2 because I thought, I've just got this really great idea, everyone's going to buy it. It's amazing. It solved our problem. Why wouldn't it solve everybody else's? So I had a headwind in the fact that I didn't have any network. So I had to create a lot of content to be able to create awareness about what we were doing, how it was different, and articulate our differentiator. I think in building any business, you need three main pillars to build a company, and it's all built upon something called market orientation. Can you deliver sustainable customer benefits? Are you operationally capable to do it? And is it different to your competitors? So operational capability, sustainable customer benefits, and competitor differentiation. If you've got those three things, you're onto a winner when it comes to your model. And I built a product that did exactly that. It was different to the competition. Clients loved it, and we could operationally do it. So I knew I had a really good product, and it was all about getting it out there into the marketplace and using my network and selling it. My network was really, really bad from a head of people, CHRO, head of talent point of view. My network was all marketing people. So I pushed out a lot of content. Then I had a further headwind because I set the business up 2 weeks before COVID landed into our world, which again, just, was another kick when you're sort of trying to get something off the ground. And that was 2 weeks into opening the doors of the business. I had all this energy, all this passion. It's going to be amazing. I quit this great job to do it as well. And then suddenly you get kicked with that. So I'd say the first 9 months were very, very hard. But what I would say is, I don't think they're going to get any harder than that. So if I got through that, and the business got through that, and the team that I've got around me got through that, then we can get through anything together. So I'm really confident that with the turbulence that's happened with the macroeconomic conditions, and the fact that recruitment has been up and down massively, me and the Chapter 2 team can get through literally anything. So it built resilience. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that absolutely does answer the question. Yeah. Will you just tell us a little bit more about the actual model then? Because it's so far removed from what lots of people deem a recruitment business to look like.
Yeah.
Will you just tell us a little bit about that and the pillars and the structure of and how you operate? Yeah,
of course. So Chapter 2 has got 3 pillars in it. And I believe that each pillar puts it into what I would call more of a unique competing space of one. So the first pillar is a highly competitive industry. It's embedded talent. And I, along with a number of the other embedded businesses, believe strongly that you can only really build companies and teams when you're 100% dedicated and you're inside the walls of that client and you understand, you live and breathe their culture, because you're taking that role in that business to market, to sell it. And which is different to more traditional contingent recruitment, because you might be working for 5 clients, have 20 CVs, and you're punching them around, and it's kind of like a bit of a spray and pray. But embedded is dedicating yourself to one client, one culture, and one strategy. So embedded talent's the first pillar. The second pillar, but that's quite crowded, frankly.
It's not new, is it?
No, it's not new. So the second pillar, I wanted to create a tech stack that our clients and teams could lean into to drive data and insights, to open up new talent pools. So I partnered and bought licenses with the best in breed technology in the marketplace. So we acquired those licenses with products such as PeopleGPT, Horsefly, Cord. What was the other one we had recently? Can't remember it. And we built a number of license relationships where our teams lean into those and no extra cost to the client, making them more successful. That put us a little bit more unique, but again, anyone can do that. But there's the competitive set got a little bit smaller. And then the third pillar, which really puts us into what I call our unique competing spaces, we have a team of content creators who create content to attract talent to our clients' businesses. And we'll go in and we will create content to attract them. Now, that is not new. That's employer branding. That's not new. But doing all those 3 pillars under one fee, under 4K cost per hire, is different. And that's what I think it is. People get a bit confused in saying, well, employer branding is not different. That's not new. Embedded is not new. And anyone can get tech stack. But you combine all those 3 and you do it for under 4K a hire. That's unique.
So when you started, how much resistance did you have from businesses that had traditionally worked with a contingent recruiter or whatever their relationship was, but they've worked with an agency recruiter, and then you pitch something that's like these 3 pillars, it's different. What were the resistance points that you got early on? I think now maybe.
Well, even now it still happens. So I think the biggest resistance is that it's a fixed fee model, right? So customers have to pay up front for services they're going to get, but the results don't actually come. One of the biggest benefits of contingent recruitment is you get what you pay for. So if they find you a great candidate, you pay for it, but all the other people you've seen and haven't hired, you don't pay for those. So that's the appealing thing about contingent recruitment. So customers aren't used to paying on a monthly subscription or a monthly retainer or a monthly fee. And convincing them to do that was quite difficult. The ones that really got it bought into it immediately, because I talked to a CEO of 8,000 people just the other day, and his response to me was, this is a no-brainer. I get an internal talent team and I get my employer branding done at the same time. So the employer branding budget significantly increased because I didn't pay any more for employer branding. We got full access to our team, and we scaled up their in-house talent team. And we're hiring people for less than 4K hire for them. And then we're talking sort of software engineers. So there was resistance, and there is a mindset shift between paying for a service and a solution and an ongoing maturing model rather than just pay and play. One of the ways we got around this was I would actually be quite bold, because I was a new entrant into the business. I would say, okay, well, let's start contingent. Right? I don't believe in this model. The most radical one I did, I said, let's start contingent, because I don't want to do contingent. But if you don't, I really want to work with you. I'll tell you what I'll do, though. My team will be successful. I'll start charging you contingently more than my proposal says now. And when I do start charging you more, I'll cap it and we'll flip into my model. So on the basis that we start contingent for the first couple of months, but knowing that as soon as I start charging you more, this will flick straight into this scope of work. And that worked really, really well. So they sort of kind of like warmed up into it.
Yeah. And so do I have to be a certain size business for this to work?
I'd say for our ideal client set, you need to be hiring. You need to have an existing rump of hires of between, I'd say, over 50 live vacancies, and you probably, to be optimum within our service, you probably need to be hiring between 100 to 500 people a year. That's where we are perfect.
So it's very much a scaling business,
yeah.
Right? Okay, cool. So then on to the question I was going to ask of, if I'm at that sweet spot, what happens? What does the onboarding look like? How do we engage? How do we get started?
The first thing that's most important is we don't just drop people in to do recruitment, because that's just rent a recruitment model, which is not what we want to do. The first thing we do is we gather the data and the insights. So of all the three pillars, the one that comes first is the technology pillar. Right, so I'll give you a real-time example. We will go in, we'll talk to our guys, our colleagues at Horsefly, and we'll say we want to do a data and analytics piece that's not charged to the client. We pick up the cost for that, and we want to map out the talent population for this client. So we map out talent population. We look at the salaries, we look at the population, we look at the competitor set, who else is hiring. We look at the diversity demograph and the ethnic backgrounds of all the people that are applying for those jobs or work in that population. And we then go to the client and go, right, this is the addressable market. This is what we're going after here. And sometimes it's like, okay, that's great. Sometimes it's a shock, because they're saying, well, the budget for these roles is average 50K a year. But I'm saying, look, you're competing with people paying 80K a year. We're not going to win. So there's no point us going to the next station and hiring, building an embedded talent solution for you if you're not taking the right product to market. So if I could put in the best talent team, but if you're going in at 40K average salary and the market's telling you it's 80, we're going to fail. So data and insights comes first.
Can I ask, have you got to that point with any clients and they're going, right, well, listen, we can't do it then, and it stops?
No, but we have changed our approach. So for example, where you've got a client that just doesn't have the budget to pay for the best talent, because everyone wants the best talent, right? When you haven't got the budget, you have to relinquish certain requirements. So a very clear example of that would be, we want somebody paid 60K a year in central London. And I'm telling you, 80K a year is the going rate in central London. Well, we want someone for 60K, we don't have the budget. Okay, that's fine. Have you thought about remote working? Have you thought about opening up outside of London? Because our data tells us that in Manchester, you can get someone for 60K a year. If you open up your search to Manchester, to Bristol, to other locations around the UK, then we will win for you. And that is a really regular conversation that we have with a number of our clients that don't have the budget but want the best talent. Just open up the search criteria geographically.
So it's gathering the data and then consulting the client on that data.
Definitely, yeah. Then you look at deploying the team. So then you structure and craft the team. We deploy our teams in highly experienced, industry specific, very senior talent executives with no less than 8 years of experience in that sector. They go in knowing the roles, knowing the client, knowing the demographic and population. And then on top of that, we'll then look to meet with the hiring managers, and we'll meet with the senior leadership team and the marketing team. Say, right, we are looking to scale 50 people in this certain team. we need to open the doors and the windows into your business so people can look in and see how amazing this company is. So what can we dramatize inside your world that is going to attract people to want to come work for you? Is it your leadership team? Is it your benefits and work-life benefits? Is it your office culture? What is it about your business? Why do you guys work here? And then we take those stories and then we dramatize them, create content to increase the top of funnel flow towards the population that we just identified, and use our recruiters who are highly experienced to then get the best talent.
Would I be right in assuming that sometimes the story isn't the most invigorating? What are some of the clients, you obviously don't name them, where you've maybe had to work really hard with that? Because I'm assuming they're not all like super cool, really exciting brands, right? There must be some run-of-the-mill kind of businesses.
There are. Being honest, there's been none that have been hard. The examples I'll give you is because sometimes it's not all about sort of glitz and glamour. Sometimes it's about the stories of the people that work there. So I'll give you a classic example. One of our clients, it is probably one of the biggest companies you've never heard of, but you've probably used their products. And we were doing an employer branding campaign. Yes, they got a great office, but the brand wasn't attracting the best software engineers, and they were going to the usual suspects. So we told a story of a number of the employees of where the company has looked after the employees with some of the personal life stories that they've gone on. So to give you a classic example, one of the people that worked there, mum got very sick. The company supported the person throughout that journey. Another employee went through some mental health. The company supported that person. And we got them to tell their stories of how the company looked after them. We projected out and they were comfortable with. And that just opened the doors. They were like, I want to work for such a caring company. And that was, so it's just about finding the stories. They're all there. I mean, I wouldn't want to work with a company that didn't have anything, to be honest with you, because you can't sell something that's not there.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So you've onboarded them, you've put the tech in, you've got your really good talent guys in, doing the employer branding piece. You mentioned there about you said about the CEO that was like, this is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
What about other stakeholders in the business? Is there, and I'll go back to that like resistance kind of piece of, I've worked with these recruiters.
Oh man,
here,
yeah,
I really
get
like
that.
them,
Yeah.
and they're going rogue and much of that.
Yeah, we had that. I'll tell you, the first meeting I ever had, it was with our first client, and the CTO walked in and he said, what the hell is an advertising guy doing in recruitment? First opening statement coming in, I was like, that is heavy. And I said, because the Rolodex is dead and recruitment is marketing. That was my response. And I genuinely believe that if people want to work on little black books and work with people who've got their databases, that's fine, but it's going to be expensive and transactional. And for things like exec search, that works still, right? That really works, because it's a relationship thing, and it's not like hiring 50 people, 100 people. But if you want to hire 200 people a year and you want high quality individuals, you're going to need to do more than pick up the phone and dial. You're going to need to sell to them. You're going to need to market them, because they won't be looking today. There's somebody, when I first came to this industry, someone said the reason why that Chapter 2 is onto something is because no recruiter is ever going to pick up the phone to a candidate and at the right time when they're thinking about looking at a job. Because the one thing we want the best talent for our clients, the best. The best talent isn't looking. The best talent is being very well looked after by their current employer because they don't want them to leave. So if you want to nab the best talent from your competitor, you're not going to pick up the phone to them on that time when they're feeling a bit run down or having a bad week, they're thinking about looking. It's like winning the lottery. But if you are creating a consistent cadence of content alongside recruitment outreach and LinkedIn messages and building relationships and building talent pools, at that point, they might phone you.
Yeah.
And you'll create that inbound. So it's just turning it around from an outbound push marketing to pull marketing. And this is what happened in the marketing space, many, many years ago. Instead of being a hard sales driven environment and marketing was a side hustle, marketing is the main side hustle now. Sales supports marketing. It's the same with recruitment. There's absolutely a place for out and out, recruitment contingent, but for larger scale, higher volume recruitment, it's more effective to create a pull strategy whereby you have amazing talent people working alongside content that attracts people in.
If your revenue isn't where it should be, it's time to change how your team sells. We've just released the next dates for our flagship business development training, Turn Farmers into Hunters. This is a live in-person training in London where you'll walk away with proven frameworks, ready to use client engagement funnels and conversion skills that you can apply immediately. All the info and sign-up details are in the link in the comments. And is that the message? So to those stakeholders that where there is the resistance, is that the message of like the push versus the pull marketing and the luck of the draw from outbound cold calling?
Do you know what? With the people that say that, I just say let our results speak for themselves. Our results speak for themselves. You know, we hit our hiring cadences, and if we don't do it, I'll give you money back. Literally, simple as that. You know, if we don't hit, we're going to charge you a fixed fee for doing something, but I'm not going to feel good about our relationship if I haven't hit my KPI and I've charged you a load of money. So we'll give you money back. That is as simple as that. So, you know, you just got to convince them.
Was there any point early on where it, I don't want to say got it wrong, but where it maybe you didn't get the result?
I think the only areas where Chapter 2 has been deployed, and I think this is with anyone, where there's two types of client, right? There's the client that wants you to do the full three-pillar solution, and sometimes clients just want a couple of recruiters. And the one, we're happy to do that, but where it's just a couple of recruiters and we're not doing our full service model, I find those are more short-lived relationships because we're just helping them with the capacity, you know, or capability. And that's fine, that's okay. We have clients that just want us for 3 months to help them scale. That's all right. And they're not interested in employer branding because they've got their own team, or they're not interested in tech because they've got a massive budget themselves. They just need scale. And we've done that. But those relationships are more 6 months. Let's come in for 6 months. Let's help you hit this and we'll go. So I wouldn't say there's been nothing that hasn't worked, but we've had to adapt to different ways of working based on the client's needs.
What are the key sort of like stats, data, insight that you stand up to? So when you go and present to a client, what are we reduce time to hire by this, or we give you access to this percent of the market? What's I call them convincers, but those like key bits of data.
Yeah. So there's immediate data, which shows some good signs, but it's not meaningless. But it's not meaningful, right? So it's really great to say, yeah, we've got time to hire to X, we've got cost to hire to Y. That's not meaningless. But what's meaningful to me, and the real one, is when I come back to you in a year's time, are those hires still there?
Just staff retention, at least, right?
Are we hiring your future leaders? That's the real KPI for me. The people that we hire, the alumni, the people, are they staying with your business and are they becoming future leaders? Because that's really, you know, a pride moment for us to say we hired that person, they've gone to be the CFO. We've hired that person, they've gone on to be the CTO. That's brilliant, you know, and that's what I think is a real important KPI that gets overlooked. Yes, you absolutely have to measure time to hire, cost to hire, quality of hire, but the quality of hire piece is only really, you know, really validated much later down the line.
And being 5 years in now, I'm sure you've got those stories of success, right? Where you can say, with X company, we did this, and now
absolutely.
they're the CFO. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, we've got loads of those. We've got a client called Collinson. We've been working with them for 5 years. We've got amazing stories of how we've helped them attract some amazing talent to their business. And they are one of the companies that I referred to earlier that have got the most amazing culture. They're family owned, but they're a large organization. And we worked with them. We put an amazing talent team in place who run all of the talent. They run the ATS and run all the client and hiring manager experiences. We train their hiring managers because that's really important. The hiring managers know how to work with candidates. So the candidates get good experience. So the NPS scores are solid. And we have opened up the floodgates to their inbound applications exponentially because we're putting them out in the world.
Do your clients ever get to a point where they don't need you anymore?
I said this to somebody the other day because I'm trying to build a business that's got longevity, right? And it's really hard to build a business that's got longevity. The better you do the job, the shorter they need you, right? So that's really, really hard. That's why we're moving more into building our tech platform. But yeah, absolutely, we finish the job. I mean, there's a number of clients where we just come in, we finish the job, we roll off, and we're done, and they call us when they need us again, which is great. It's not great for the numbers, but you know, you finish your job and it's done. That's cool.
I think that'd scare people. That would scare some people listening to this. They do a job so good that their clients don't need them anymore. I'm going to come back to that in a
Okay.
second, but I just want to pick up on something you said there. Your new tech platform.
Yep.
The book.
Yes. So what we're trying to build at Chapter 2 is a business that addresses the pain point that I felt from a perm recruitment perspective, which we've done. That's Chapter 2, as you see it today, the 3 pillars. But the other pain point I really felt when I was running a global business was contingent contractor management. And we used to spend an obscene amount of money on freelance recruitment and recruitment spend. And my observations of that are that it's really great for a contingent recruitment person or company to find you the talent for a stint, maybe 3 days, 5 days that you might need some cover and support. But for a 3-month project, the recruitment company is charging you a large fee for every day that person's in there. And it's a transactional relationship. They're adding no more value, if I'm honest. So we have built our own technology platform. It's our own proprietary technology platform. And it's built in Microsoft, and it curates and creates communities of talent for contingent workers to be plugged into as an extended workforce for certain teams. So it's been built for digital products, software engineering, and marketing content creators. And what we do is we take our software, we plug it into our clients' worlds, and the resource managers or the talent team can lean into that solution to onboard really, really rapidly contractors. And they don't pay a fee, they just pay a monthly license fee, which is a fraction of the cost. The reason why I built that, I think it's got two benefits. One benefit is it reduces the cost of contingent recruitment and contractor management exponentially, and it's IR35 compliant. That's the one reason I built it. The second reason I built it was also to support the perm environment, because to get the best talent takes at least 8 weeks to get the best talent. 4 weeks minimum to find them, then 4 weeks notice minimum to get them on board, and then for them to start being ramped up, right? So if you think about an axis, productivity versus time, okay? How productive, 100% productive in role, banging it, and how long it takes. You create the job ad, we need someone. Okay, there's no productivity the first 4 weeks.
Yep.
No productivity for the next second 4 weeks. And then they come and they start to become productive, and they onboard, and then they become onboarded, and they're good, they're productive. That is really slow. So when we try and think about our solutions for our clients, we don't just think about how do we fill that role. We think about, okay, why are they filling that role? Because they're building a technology product to launch the market in a certain date. So that's the ultimate goal. How can we get their product launched quickly? So to do that, instead of doing the sort of, hire them for 4 weeks, onboard them for 4 weeks, and get them up to scratch, use the book to immediately put in a contractor while the talent team are looking for them. The contractor becomes immediately productive, like within weeks. You can get your project started and optimized while we're finding the best talent, because we don't want to rush that process. And when you find them, they meet in the middle, and then you transition them off, and you offboard the book person as a contractor.
And they're paying like a monthly rolling subscription for the book that's been built specifically for, like, curated for their business.
Exactly. And all of the money goes back to the contractor, and they get paid in 7 days.
Wow. Okay. How do you get the contractors onto the book? How do you get them?
We have a recruitment company. So there's 2 ways of doing it. One, it's outbound content creation to on job boards and just creating content to attract talent. And the second is we have a recruitment team. So I have a specific team within Chapter 2 dedicated to creating sign up to get the best talent on the platform. We are very, very strict around the quality of that talent. So there's a number of rights to work checks, there's screening calls, and then there's tests that people need to do to get into the community. So we have at the moment thousands of people at the door waiting to come in that we are reviewing before they come into the community and get access to our clients.
That was going to be my next question. What was the quality assurance piece? But you've obviously got some bits in play there. Again, similar question to what I asked earlier. What's the sweet spot for business size to? I'm assuming this could go all the way up to the biggest companies in the world, but at what point would that be the right model for?
40 contractors and above is probably the perfect sweet spot. I'd say 40 because we've got 2 clients on it already, and it's working really, really well. I think anything less than 40, you probably just want to pick up the phone to someone and they'll find you someone. Yeah. If I'm honest, that's the way I think the contingent play is. And then anything from 40 upwards, you just want to have it on a platform.
Something you've said a couple of times there, as we've been speaking, is, oh, actually, no, that's a better. You use a contingent, pick up the phone to a recruiter. Like, you're not saying don't use recruiters in a traditional sense.
No.
Do you think other people in the market see like what you're doing as a threat?
I think anyone who sees something different to them coming into their space and being successful a threat. And we have done that in the talent space, both with Contingent and RPO and other embedded businesses. So nobody likes a new business coming in, especially not one that's coming in and being successful. And the natural reaction to that is to feel threatened by it. So yeah, probably.
And do you care, but like if they're...
No, I don't care. Like wolves don't care about what sheep think.
But you're not saying that you can't coexist, right?
Absolutely. I use contingent recruitment companies to help us out for some contingent work. I recommend people to go and use certain contingent companies that I know. Like there are certain contingent companies out there that are brilliant in the space that they occupy.
Yeah.
Nobody can do everything. You've got to understand what you're brilliant at, what you're the best at. I don't want to be the biggest business. I want to be the best business in what we do, right? And there's absolutely a place for these guys. And I've seen a lot of other companies, post stuff and it looks like they're threatened. But in all honesty, that's cool. That's them. I can't control that.
No, absolutely. What about if you were to just imagine for a second, then, if you were going to go and give some advice to a traditional recruitment agency, and obviously look, they're not going to go and copy your business model. Lots of people have a very fixed way. We've done it this way for a long time and it works and we generate revenue and all the rest of it. What are some of the elements do you think that they could maybe magpie from you guys? Or if you was advising them, what advice would you give to a traditional recruiter now?
I would say try to understand your client's problem statement rather than the role they're trying to hire. And to be fair, there probably are lots of really great companies that do this already. But from my observations, I would say that in my personal experience, contingent recruitment companies focus on the role and the candidate, which is right. But my advice, which is great, but my advice would be to also try and seek and understand the problem that role is going to solve. Just in any BPO consultancy, any outside company coming in doesn't want to understand and operate at a transactional level to understand what is that immediate problem. What is this problem solving deeper than this? Really understand the client's business. And this is why I think embedded really, really works, because one of the secret sources to embedded or RPO is that your team that work on that account live and breathe that business. They wake up in the morning, they think that client. They finish work thinking of that client. They're talking to their friends down the pub thinking of that client if they've got an opportunity. And they just immerse themselves into that world. And I think what Contingent does is it operates across a very broad spectrum of clients with a very broad spectrum of candidates. And they're unable to deeply understand. Well, they are able to deeply understand, but they don't immerse themselves as much as an embedded team would, put it that way.
What do you think the next 12 months of our industry look like? Like for the recruitment industry more generally, like I said right at the beginning, you're doing something that's very different to the rest of the market.
Yeah.
What do you think the next 12 months look like? What bits do you think need a shake up, need to change?
Rather than what needs to change, I think there are such a large spectrum of service providers out there that it doesn't need to change. I think it needs to evolve. And I think the evolution of recruitment is going to be artificial intelligence, the adoption of artificial intelligence. And any recruitment company that isn't adopting artificial intelligence within its processes, within its work, is going to fall behind. Whether it's using an AI note taker like MetaView, or twinning recruiters for interviews, which is quite advanced. I think anyone who's not looking and being curious about AI is going to get left behind. And we are actively using these products. The book is going to be AI enabled as part of this Microsoft suite of OpenAI. And you can do everything from like, no one's going to have to write a job description ever again. They'll just tailor one. You just press a button and it will come up, and then you just tailor it. So I think everything from sort of the minor administration stuff to like really out there quirky AI stuff, that's what the next 12 months is going to look like, and what lands, what doesn't, what really works, what doesn't work. And I think the next 12 months is all about reducing administration for recruiters. So I would advise any recruitment company to, again, back to your question before, or ours, our own, to adopt artificial intelligence, learn, be curious about it. Because if you're not, you're gonna get left behind. You're gonna be a dinosaur. You're gonna still be writing letters when people are writing emails.
Yeah, and we're actually seeing that. And we spoke about this off camera of some of the businesses we're going into. We're seeing like a real resistance to that AI piece, and like the AI note taker is maybe almost seen as like in most of the businesses we work, that's a basic, right?
Yeah, totally.
But some of the stuff's more advanced. Like you said, they're about twinning.
Yeah.
What is that?
Basically, you can create AI twins of yourself, and the AI twin can conduct interviews or screening calls on your behalf. I personally don't think it's there yet, and I don't think it's authentic enough, is my personal opinion. I've tested it, I've trialed it. It was a bit disconcerting to see another version of myself talking about things I wouldn't talk about, but it's really interesting, and I think that's a really good example of where the recruitment industry is pushing boundaries of AI, and I love that. Right, fail fast. Yeah. Does it work? And it might work, but I love seeing like everyone from like, yeah, this is working, administration, to like creating sort of avatars of each other to do screening. I think there's a but that's got a long way to go. Have you heard of a product called Boardly? I think it's called Boardly.
No.
It's an outbound sales marketing AI tool. It was freakishly good about how this guy was talking to me on the phone. I thought I was talking to my best mate. Literally, this Boardly AI agent knew everything about my LinkedIn profile. He knew everything about Chapter 2, and they clearly articulated the type of client we go after, and then said, "Would you like me to go on LinkedIn and find you some clients?" I was like, yeah, okay, that's great. And to be fair, that worked really, really well, but nothing's really come of it. But they're pushing the boundaries of AI, which I really, really respect, because if nobody's doing that, nobody's moving forward. So you want these guys to be absolutely pushing stuff.
What's the one piece that you're using in Chapter 2 at the moment that's impressive?
MetaView. Yeah, MetaView's impressive. I'll give those guys a kudos and a shout out. They're really good. They've saved our teams a lot of time when it comes to note taking. Another good product is Pillar. It records all of the interviews, allows you to fast track certain parts of the conversation. If you want to talk about where did the candidate talk about diversity and inclusion or something like that, you can record that. I think the guys at Horsefly are doing a really great job, and they're building a really exciting tech product. There's loads of them out there.
Excellent. Okay. Last question then, Leo. What's the future hold? We talk about the next 12 months for recruitment. What was the next 12 months and beyond hold for Chapter 2?
The next 12 months are exciting. I think, the economy hasn't quite stabilized yet, but we're seeing more jobs come to market. We're seeing things steady out. Our lens is firmly focused on two things: deploying and launching the book technology platform, which is being launched at the end of May at our event with Stephen Bartlett at PwC, and our American and USA expansion. So we are actively opening offices in the USA on the East Coast. We will be we are boots on the ground there now in Boston, but we will be having sort of an office, a team out there, building the business out there from July. So build the book, deploy the book, and then open up the American business.
And I'm assuming as part of that, you're going to be hiring lots of people.
Yes.
Or far more people, right?
Definitely.
If anyone's listening to this thinking, bloody hell, that's a really cool model and that's something I'd like to be part of, what's the best way for them to reach out and talk about opportunities?
Yeah, so I try to respond to as many people on LinkedIn as I can. So just drop me a message on LinkedIn. I'll try to get to it. Please, sorry if I don't get back to you, but I try to get back to everybody. Just drop me a message on LinkedIn.
Wonderful. Brilliant. Leo, thanks so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure.
Pleasure. Thank you.